situation where what has been handed to us presently is not what we think is the best, because it has consequences for jobs, it has consequences for our businesses, it has consequences for the whole industry in terms of the securities industry, and for the investing public, investment savings and investments in general. So we are saying that we can accept exchange program in the present form. That is our position. Our position is that it's in the present form. If we are being given the option to bring ideas to enhance it, that would be excellent. And we want to go back to that approach which the minister himself at some point, the internal rate of return for what has been proposed is 8%. If you do the IRR for each bond, for what has been proposed is 8%. Bank of Ghana's inflation target is 8% plus or minus 2. So for you to ask people to hold a 5-year, a 5 to like a 15-year paper at near zero rate, it's harsh. So for us, we think that let's look at the commercial terms again and see if we can make it better. Let's bring minds together and then let's see if we can make this thing better. Because we all don't have view into the model, what is being done, etc. We've just been handed some things.
That was the president of the Ghana Securities Industry Association, Winston Nelson Jr.
Now, the Member of Parliament for Doma East, Paul Apreku Chumberima, has appealed to organized labor to support government's announced bond exchange program. Government has called on local bond holders to exchange their bonds in a 4-category program as part of measures to restructure the country's debt levels. Now, various groups have kicked against the move, but in a passionate appeal, the Doma East MP said government must be helped to revive the economy.
The ministry has stated clearly that they are still in the engagement process, so they are not done. So, yes, I've heard about UTAC, the UTAC thing. I believe, as I said earlier on, it's in their right to complain. It is in their domain. But looking at the times we find ourselves, it's also time that we have to take a bitter pill to be able to support this government to revive our economy. We don't need to wait and say, had I known. Had I known will not be something that we all have to think about. Let's take the opportunity available to us now and let's revive our economy. We are in difficult times. We are in challenging times. Nobody should say that the country is enjoying some luxury now. No. So therefore, that if somebody is enjoying luxury, as he's saying, a government person, clearly then that person must know what he or she is doing is not in order. We must all support the average Ghanaian, support everybody, so that together we can revive our country. And this is the point we are now. So yes, I will agree with the UTAC people, but it's an appeal.
Paul Apreku Chumberima is the Member of Parliament for Doma East. Now, the New Patriotic Party, NPP, says its track record of saving depositors' funds in the banking sector cleanup should give hope to Ghanaians that investor funds will be saved in a debt exchange program. The government has come under strict criticism for introducing a new arrangement to vary maturity dates and annual interest for domestic debt bondholders. Some groups and labor unions have expressed their opposition to the move. But in an interview with Citi News, a Deputy General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party, Haruna Mohammed, has assured investors their funds are in safe hands.
The legal outline of corporate body separates the individual from the corporate institution.
But for most of these corporate institutions, the money they are using is an aggregate of the monies of individuals.
Yes, I agree. And that is why government, in the first run-up to the collapse of many banks in the country, leading to the exit of the former government, that is John Mohammed's administration, we saw that there were going to be a near collapse of many banks in this country. We had to come up with what we call the financial sector cleanup. We had to make sure over 4 million citizens of Ghana deposits were being saved. This is a government that has done it before. We want to save the bonds and investment of corporate and individual institutions who have their monies in these fund management institutions, who are directly affected by the issuance of bonds over the period, which maturity is due in 2013, thereabout, or 2020, 2022 thereabout, for government to take measures to protect it. We would have this challenge because people will not understand why the value of my money will reduce by 40, 20, 30%. Because when it is due for maturity, I would be able to get what I want. But in every investment, we have what we call the risk averse. People who can take up risk, people who don't want to take risk. And definitely, if you want to invest in bonds, and we have different categories of bond, corporate bond, municipal bonds, other bonds that would add up, you would definitely know that there is risk involved. You can even lose your investment in bonds.
Haruna Mohammed is Deputy General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party.
Away from that, residents of Asante Mampo in the Ashanti region are kicking against any form of mining in their locality. The inhabitants are rallying support for the traditional authorities who have consistently opposed mining operations in the area. Citi News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani has more.
The inhabitants maintain that although mining has its benefits, the current distraction in some communities due to mining activities is a lesson for communities without such activities.
Benin is a community that experiences water challenges, especially during the dry season. So why is it that with such challenges, people have been given the chance to come and engage in mining in our community? It will not be good to follow the money and destroy the environment. We are not going to allow mining activities in our community because we must preserve the water bodies and the environment for the generations unborn. We are opposing mining operations in our community because farming is our main source of livelihood. We rely solely on our water bodies for our activities. Farmers in our community are into garden eggs, cocoa, and plantain production, and we will not allow people to destroy the water bodies in our area. We are warning companies who are claiming to have permission from the Minerals Commission to engage in mining in our community to quit. We are happy with what we have in our community. Our ancestors knew about gold in there, but they didn't tamper with it.
Communities like Benin, Hidem, Abonkonso, and Trafaso are currently targets of the proposed mining operations. The concerned citizens of Asante Mampong against Galamsey, with the backing of traditional authorities, say they will not allow mining operations in the area.
We are up in arms because after a deep reflection on the activities of Galamsey in some communities in the country, we became alarmed. And when we heard that the Minerals Commission has granted mineral rights to a certain company to come and mine in the Asante Mampong area, with the benefit of hindsight, we became disturbed and decided to rise up against any form of minerals prospecting, particularly Galamsey in Asante Mampong.
Members of the group further explained reasons for their opposition to the plans to mine in the area.
We are up in arms because we have an impinging responsibility to protect our naturally bequeathed forests and water bodies and ensure that the quality of the resources, which also belong to succeeding generations, as a matter of birthright, is not compromised or abused by greedy Galamseyers and their collaborators. We believe that there should be fairness in the intergenerational rights in how you use God-given natural resources and the environment. If we cannot improve upon what we came to meet, we dare not, and I say, we dare not make it worse than what was handed over to us by our forebears.
The local council of churches in Asante Mampong is also supporting calls not to allow mining operations in the area.
We are not going to accept this Galamsey issue in Asante Mampong. We share the view of the concerned citizen. We share the views of the traditional rulers of this nation, of this town, and we are strongly against the Galamsey issue. It will not help.
You have been going to church. What sentiments do you get from your congregants?
They are all against it.
The Minerals Commission is on record to have issued a license to a company to prospect for gold in the Mampong traditional area in 2019. The commission subsequently withdrew the license when the Mampong Traditional Council opposed the intention.
The Minerals Commission is supposedly required to create a congenial atmosphere in which all stakeholders, and we say emphasis ours, all stakeholders work as partners in a safe environment to achieve sustainable development through mining. The big question is, did the Minerals Commission, in granting the minerals rights to prospective companies to mine in the Asante Mampong traditional area, engage the people as stakeholders in any form? Was there any stakeholder engagements or consultations? Did the Commission do any due diligence as to the effect of surface mining operations on rivers and water bodies in Asante Mampong?
Citi News also understands the Commission in November 2022 again withdrew a similar application for another mining company to prospect following stiff opposition by traditional authorities in the area. Inhabitants and traditional authorities within the Asante Mampong traditional area say they will resist attempts by any mining company to engage in mining activities within the communities. Hafiz Tijani, Citi News, Asante Mampong, Ashanti Region.
Meanwhile, a Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister, George Merikuduka, is fuming over the decision by the chiefs and people of Asante Mampong to stop all forms of mining in the area. Residents of Asante Mampong in the Ashanti region yesterday addressed a press conference registering their protest over plans to commence mining in the area. The residents say mining activities in the area will affect them negatively, but Lands and Natural Resources Minister George Merikuduka says such actions will not be tolerated.
But as a country and per the laws that we have we agreed to stop mining? So a chief can say, I don't want any mining. Another chief will also say, I'm not interested in oil. So don't even cross my town and go and get any oil, crude oil. Another person will say, I don't want to see my forest degraded. No timber. Somebody will say, my cocoa, I will protect my cocoa. I want my own cocoa. I want to even process my own chocolate. So nobody should come to my jurisdiction and farm. My people will farm, we buy our own cocoa. Don't come and buy cocoa from us. Is that how we want to govern it? We need to be careful.
Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister George Merikuduka there.
Well, his boss, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapor, says the ministry and its agencies are adapting the use of technology to fight illegal mining in the country. Mr. Jinapor says technology has been identified as a major tool that can aid the fight. Speaking to journalists after commissioning a tracking office at the Minerals Commission, where all mining equipment will be tracked whilst on the field, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapor said Galamsey fight will be won.
The final outcome of the work we've done is one that encourages me a great deal. Because as you know, following the Apieti incident, the tragic incident in Apieti, the government through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources set up a committee to come up with recommendations which will forestall the recurrence of such an incident. One of the key recommendations of the committee, the Professor Richard Amankwa Committee, was that we have a tracking system for all moving equipment as well as all vehicles which will transport explosives in our country. And as you can tell today, we now have a fit-for-purpose, robust, very comprehensive monitoring and tracking system here at the Minerals Commission, which will first of all track all vehicles which transport explosives in our country on a real-time basis, and which will also track all excavators which are used for mining in our country. One of the major problems we've had with dealing with illegal small-scale mining in Ghana is the issue of excavators. The excavator is turned out to be the most destructive piece of equipment when it comes to illegal mining in our country. And to have an infrastructure such as what we've commissioned this morning, which will track all excavators, I tell you, it's going to be a game changer. It's going to help us a great deal in our quest to deal with illegal small-scale mining.
That was the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo. This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. Still to come, we take you to Parliament, where the House is expected to debate the vote of censure against Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. We'll be back shortly. Please stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Afiwe, Black Stars fans say at MDDNO.
Yeah,
Team selection.
Yeah,
Na coaching Ejumanin Swe.
Yeah,
Hey, now Black Stars beat maybe B. Saka Sanonso.
Yeah,
No negative talk. Positive talking kwa. Mamayan Kamum. Qatar 2022 way. Na yenta Black Stars echi. DSTV the 64 matches ni na be bro with DSTV compact so. For 169 Ghana cedis beji with decoder and the year. Ghana, it's our moment.
Na Jordan, you could be there.
Hey, Masa. Yejai.
Fine, anyone can become a house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, anyone. Whether market woman, student, professional, even fisherman or cobbler. YouGoFlip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand the chance of winning a house, cash, or other prizes, such as savings towards the house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win.
Contact us on 0555222490.
YouGoFlip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
What do you get when you mix the best DJs in the country? The most amazing live band sets, delicious cocktails, and wonderful food. Back to back hit music from Ghana's finest group, Praye, dazzled by the sounds of Abiana and being serenaded by the brilliantly talented Aquabua. The biggest outdoor party, of course, Situation 2022. Are you ready to party? We're changing the situation on December 24, 2022 with the biggest outdoor party in Accra. The Situation Outdoor Party 2022. Let's wrap up the year in style with the most epic party to end all parties this Christmas Eve with Situation. Ain't no party like a city party because a city party don't stop. This will be another one to remember. Date, Saturday, 24th December 2022. Venue, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Accra. Time, 8 p.m. Dress code, it's an all-white affair. Get your platinum, diamond, gold, and silver table bookings and seats by calling the hotlines 020-5973-973 or 055-8973-973. Book your table and make reservations now. The Situation Outdoor Party is sponsored by Ebony Condoms, Series, Doritos, and Lays, and it's supported by Citi FM and Ghana Weekend. It's powered by Citi TV. This is a Beyond the Return event. Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Let's now take you to Parliament, where the House is expected to debate the vote of censure against Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. My colleague Charles Osukumi is in the House and joins us live on the telephone. Good afternoon to you, Charles. Thanks for your time. Now, is the debate on the vote of censure against the Finance Minister on the order paper of the House today?
Yes, it is written in the order paper today, item number 21. We know that the ad hoc committee that was set up by the Speaker to probe these allegations by the minority against the Finance Minister are supposed to present their report to the House today. When they present the report, it is expected that there will be a debate from both sides. And then, speaking to the Honorable Ablakwa earlier, he told me that it is likely that the Speaker will put the question and then there will be voting on the motion.
Now, so what is currently happening in the House? Is the House or is the chamber in session as we speak?
So, ordinarily, Parliament proceedings will start around 10:30. But it's past 12, and Parliament is not in session yet. We understand that because of this issue of the motion against the finance minister, there are engagements, especially on the majority side. So if it comes to the chamber, the minority side the numbers have quite increased, but on the majority side, they are now trickling in because they are engaging. The fear is that they are deciding on what to do if indeed the minority are able to push for a secret voting, because they are thinking that if they stay and vote, there may be elements within their group who would vote in favor of the motion. And you know that the numbers in Parliament now, there is actually virtually no difference between the majority and minority, and they can't take that risk. The other option that's available to them is to stage a walkout, which would not look good on them, actually. But they can also stay in the House and abstain from the vote entirely. So these negotiations, these engagements, we understand what is holding up the majority side at the moment.
Now, the minority side, what's the conversation amongst them?
So they are upbeat. We spoke to the Honorable Kesla Sporting earlier, and for him, he says that the others on the majority side should join them and remove the finance minister. They say they don't understand why the 1398 earlier said the move to remove him, and now they have cowardly, that's in his word, they have cowardly decided to refrain from the vote. So we await what would happen. We understand that the House would be in session any moment from now, and there are other things on the other paper. But looking at the time that Parliament is about to begin, if this motion is moved, if this motion, this committee report is presented, that is exactly what will be the only thing that will be done today in Parliament. That is what we suspect.
Very well. Most grateful for your time. We'll come back to you subsequently when the House is in session and the debates for the vote of censure against the finance minister is in session in the House. That was my colleague in Parliament, Charles Owusu Kumi. Caleb has more from the House.
That's true, because the Appointments Committee of Parliament has, by consensus, recommended the approval of 2 out of 4 justices nominated to the Supreme Court by President Akufo-Addo. This leaves the fate of the 2 other justices hanging in a balance, but the minority chief whip and a member of the committee, Muntaka Mubarak, has been explaining that decision in the following report filed by Fred Duho.
The 2 nominees okayed by the committee are Justice Barbara Frances Aka Yensu and Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Esiedu, all of whom are currently Court of Appeal judges. In its 27th report on the nomination of judges to the Supreme Court submitted to Parliament, the committee said the nominees demonstrated dexterity in the knowledge of the law and showed character and competence. The committee therefore recommended to Parliament by consensus the approval of Justice Barbara Frances Aka Yensu and Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Esiedu as justices to the Supreme Court of Ghana. Meanwhile, the other 2 justice nominees, George Kingsley Kumson and Ernest Yaugaiwu, were not nominated in the report. On the case of Justice Ernest Gaiwu, his vetting at the committee's sitting was centered on his political affiliation to the ruling New Patriotic Party, having contested as a parliamentary aspirant in the Whole West constituency of the Volta region. This is what transpired during his vetting.
The constitution that has created the 3 arms of government, which is the executive, legislature, and then the judiciary. For a lawyer trained and qualified as a lawyer is a beloved son or beloved child of the Constitution, so that a lawyer can descend from the throne of glory, which is the judiciary, and go and skate around the legislature or the executive, and then when you come back, you still come back to sit at the right-hand side of the Constitution and be interceding for the public. There's no difficulty about that at all. The rules that are played in a judiciary, it's different from the executive as well as the legislature. I am already on the bench. I have sworn the oath of allegiance and the oath of security and the judicial oath. And as I sit here, I haven't heard any problem that I'm sitting on the bench, I've been partisan or whatever. Going into political, what do you call it, a partisan political life is a constitutional right. Constitutional right. And I don't think that I am the first and I'm not going to be the last.
Here is Justice George Kingsley Kumson during his vetting.
We as human beings cannot create life, and so we have no right to take away life. Once life is taken, it is irreplaceable. And then three, in the system, the judicial system, there's that likelihood that a mistake would have been made. And so a person could be convicted when in actual fact he has not done or he has not committed the crime he is alleged to have committed. And meanwhile, if he is put to death and later on evidence comes up to show that the person was innocent, we just cannot bring that person back. And so nobody should be put to death.
The Minority Chief Whip, Muntaka Mubarak, explained to City Eyewitness News the committee's decision to recommend 2 of the 4 nominees for approval.
When we say we don't have unanimity, is that we do majority, especially in the case of the 2, on the day that we're taking the decision, majority said no, they shouldn't go to the Supreme Court. But that will be a recommendation to the House. And it's the House that will determine whether they agree with the Appointments Committee or disagree with the Appointments Committee. Okay. So at this stage, it's very difficult to say you are rejecting or not because whatever you bring, it remains a recommendation. The final decision is out of the House.
Fred Duho filed that report. Now, a Tamale Circuit Court has remanded a 41-year-old Nigerian national for engaging in human trafficking and forced prostitution. The suspect, Favor Besson, who pleaded guilty to the charges, will know her fate on Monday, December 12, when the court convenes. A police source told City News in Tamale that the suspect was arrested on Sunday, December 4, when she chased one of her victims who resisted her orders onto the streets in Tamale. The victim, who is also a Nigerian national, during the chase sought refuge from a Good Samaritan who coincidentally happened to be a police officer. Further investigations further revealed that the suspect has been trafficking unsuspecting victims from Niger to Ghana under the pretext of offering them jobs.
Now, the Ghana AIDS Commission is calling on young pregnant women to accept testing for HIV when they visit the hospital for antenatal care. According to the 2020 HIV and AIDS estimate, about 21,000 people in the Volta region are living with HIV. Speaking to City News, Technical Coordinator for the Ghana AIDS Commission Technical Support Unit in the Volta region, Mary Na Ashley Anyomi, said early testing of pregnant women may reduce the rate of transmission to their babies.
Volta is a youthful population. When we are talking about new infection, it's from 15 to 24 years. That is the age group that we use. At that age, one is being a bit adventurous, and so they end up engaging in a bit of risky activities. And once the rate for that group goes up, new infection would go up. Once it drops, the new infection will drop. So all that I would like to say is that HIV is not a thing of the past. In as much as the airwaves are a bit quiet, doesn't mean that HIV is gone. It's still there. So we should protect ourselves, we should abstain, we should use condom, and then the offer for HIV tests for pregnant women is optional. It's just an appeal. So when they go to the antenatal and the appeal is being made, they should accept, because if they have protected themselves, they wouldn't have ended up pregnant. And once you end up pregnant, beyond pregnancy, you could have also ended up getting sexual transmitted infections, which includes HIV. And there are interventions in place, even if the mother is pregnant, for them to give birth to a baby that is HIV negative. So they should think about the baby and accept the offer to test. The 21,000 is an estimate. So we now have to go to identify the faces to that figure. So we now have to step up testing for people to test to know their health status and HIV status. Then we can identify that figure. In identifying it, the figure could be a little higher than the 21,000 or a little lesser.
That was the technical coordinator of the Ghana AIDS Commission Technical Support Unit in the Volta region, Marina Ashele Anyomi.
Let's stay in the Volta region because health practitioners in some parts of the region can now heave a sigh of relief following the introduction of the zipline medical delivery services, which they say has reduced difficulties in accessing medical equipment and drugs for the treatment of patients. The poor conditions of roads in these areas adds to the many factors that prevent the National Ambulance Service from reaching the communities during cases of emergency. Now, City News' Desmond Selasiago visited the Boviaji in the Central Tong district of the Volta region, where healthcare delivery has become easier despite the road network.
In some parts of the Volta region of Ghana, the three-wheeled tricycle, popularly known as Aboboya or motokin, is the surest way of accessing emergency medical services. In some instances, the people would have to travel long distances on deplorable road to access healthcare. But with the introduction of the zipline medical delivery services, some of the communities in rural areas are now able to receive quality medical services in time. Sister Jifa processes Gary at Poviaji in the Central Town district of the Volta region for distribution in some urban communities. She tells City News in the past she would have to travel for over an hour to Akachi in the Akachi South Municipality to access quality health care. But the introduction of zipline has reduced the stress.
Oh, you should come at your house. We are now treated well here due to the quick supply of medicines. At first, we had to travel to Akachi for treatment and buy our medication from other communities.
Akachi.
This is the Poviaji Chips compound, and this is their motokin ambulance. We serve some rural communities here in Central Tong. Aishana Kwama Ankra is a health practitioner here at the facility. She tells City News healthcare delivery has been a challenge at their post since the breakdown of the tricycle. She, however, says the introduction of zipline medical delivery has positively impacted the work of health professionals in the area.
The health delivery in this area, it's not easy. It's not easy, especially with the network. It's not easy. And even we don't, that was last 3 years, we didn't even have pipe. So sometimes we have to carry water. The nurses, we carry water. We go to the riverbank, carry water on our head, and then we bring it to the facility. We use them for delivery or sometimes for hand washing. So sometimes when delivery comes impromptu, then we have to carry gallons, go and fetch water for the delivery. It is not easy. Or sometimes you get someone to fetch it. When a person fetches, he takes 1 gallon, 1 cedi, 50 pesos for 1 gallon. And we don't have that money. So we use our own money and then we fetch the water. Whenever we get a delivery and we have to refer the person to Akachi, that's why we refer. Then we use the tricycle and then
to convey the
person to labor. Yes. Ours has been, there is a fault at where we put the petrol, the tank. So there is a fault, that's why it's not in use. The LMD, we request every 3 months. So after they deliver, if you need another drug, you have to wait for the next 3 months before you get it. But when zipline was introduced, things have been very easy. When we are in shortage of drugs or medicine, we just request and within 30 minutes, we get them. But previously, we didn't get any drugs, so we normally refer them to the higher facilities. But since zipline came, now referral has reduced. And we are feeling comfortable with it, reliable, convenient.
The district health information officer for Central Tong wants the services to be extended to other deprived areas.
So previously, when let's say there's a snake bite in these communities, it will take a very long time for the facility to refer from this area to the regional hospital for the person to be provided with care. But then once zipline came on board, within a very short period of time, within 10 to 15 minutes, an anti-snake is delivered to these facilities that are located in remote areas, and then it is provided to the client who has been bitten by a snake. Where the facility is located, in fact, they actually need it. harm because they have to cross like 2 or 3 rivers before you get to that facility. So our major concern is that they should bring that facility on board for now.
Which facility?
Ugaji Chiefs. So once they bring that facility on board, I think it will be very, very helpful for us. For now, they deliver to a nearby facility.
That report was filed by City News' Desmond Selassie Agor.
You're still listening to the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. Still to come to you. Right now, we would have to take you back to Parliament shortly. But before that, we take a break from me. When we return, we tell you more from the smuggling of grains from the Upper West region to neighboring countries. Please stay with us. We'll be back with more.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Bronya! Hey, high sense, Bronya, don't call me! High sense, Mobi Biara Fishiapo! Every 15th December, I come in 8th January. Hey, high sense, Bronya, don't call me! I want to send you my wire thing. Naso Udonti. High sense, yeah, 10 Yamani now to say, who? Yeah, Shama on the Bronya no Sibia. And to Uber showroom. Why not yet? Hey, yo, Pia pocket level. Showroom Yamanina. Hey, Bronya, don't call me! TV, fridge, freezers, air conditioner, smartphones, sound system, and it be beer or high sense showroom beer. And yeah, high sense Bronya, don't call me. And maybe beer and Tetel, and Kwane here. So high sense D.O.B. Bronya, no feeling. Every 15th December, I come in 8th January. And yeah, high sense Bronya, don't call me. High sense, everyday prices for everyday people.
What do you get when you mix the best DJs in the country? The most amazing live band sets, delicious cocktails, and wonderful food. Back-to-back hit music from Ghana's finest group, Praye, dazzled by the sounds of Abiana and being serenaded by the brilliantly talented Aquabua. The biggest outdoor party, of course, Situation 2022. Are you ready to party? We're changing the situation on December 24, 2022 with the biggest outdoor party in Accra. The Situation Outdoor Party 2022. Let's wrap up the year in style with the most epic party to end all parties this Christmas Eve with Situation. Ain't no party like a city party because a city party don't stop. This will be another one to remember. Dates, Saturday 24th December 2022. Venue, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Accra. Time, 8 p.m. Dress code, it's an all-white affair. Get your platinum, diamond, gold, and silver table bookings and seats by calling the hotlines 020-5973-973 or 055-8973-973. Book your table and make reservations now. The Situation Outdoor Party is sponsored by Ebony Condoms, Series, Doritos, and Lay's, and it's supported by Citi FM and Ghana Weekend. It's powered by Citi TV. This is a Beyond the Return event. Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Yeah, welcome back. Now, the Minister for Food and Agriculture has charged the Upper West Regional Security Council to beef up security along Ghana's borders in the region to halt the smuggling of maize to Burkina Faso and other West African countries. The minister made a call at separate meetings in Wa with the Upper West Regional Minister and other stakeholders in the agriculture industry as part of his 2-day working visit to the region. There is more in the following report by Latif Mahama.
The Agric Minister's 2-day working visit to the Upper West region was to interact with various industry players in the agric sector. His first port of call was the regional minister, Dr. Hafiz bin Salih, where he expressed grave concerns over the smuggling of grains such as maize to neighboring Burkina Faso, contrary to a directive banning the export of grains from Ghana.
The critical one is to do with the interaction with the stakeholders, especially our officials, the district directors of agriculture, the extension officers, the input dealers, agro-processors, that we are meeting straight from here into that meeting so that we learn more about what is going on. I mean, the impact of the shortage of inorganic fertilizer, how farmers are responding to that, how farmers are changing their working practices with organic fertilizer, which we are now promoting as a substitute for the inorganic fertilizer, and the impact on production and all that, the weather patterns and this year's production. Particularly important to us is this regulation banning export of grains from Ghana. And like what used to happen with the inorganic fertilizer subsidies, we are hearing a lot of reports of food items, the grains going to Burkina and other places through unauthorized routes and through authorized routes. The president has formed a task force to implement the ban, and yet we are getting a lot of reports from your region. So, Mr. Minister, it's something that is of great concern to us in Cabinet and to this government, and I think that you really need to crack the whip, because otherwise we cannot use the taxpayers' money to subsidize the activities of our farmers only for other West African countries to benefit against our own interests. We need every grain we can produce, not only for human consumption, but also for livestock development.
He then met the district directors of agriculture, extension officers, input dealers, agro-processors and other stakeholders in the agric industry, where he expressed similar sentiments and appealed to them to collaborate with the security agencies to crack the whip on the smuggling menace.
We are getting constant reports of huge amounts of our produce crossing the borders into Burkina, all the way to Niger, Togo, and so on and so forth. And I'm really disappointed with the regional director of agriculture to say that I hear. You hear what? This is the sweat of the Ghanaian farmer, the sweat of the Ghanaian taxpayer, and you are in charge of the region. If you hear, you have to take action. At least you have to dedicate all the border districts. You have the district directors of agriculture. You should be able to collect information and tell us. And send reports to us that this is what we are learning, so many tracks of this crossing, of this product. You just don't say that you hear. You hear what? Of course, we all hear, but that's not the point. The point is that we are managers of the agricultural economy of this country.
You heard the Agric Minister ending that report by Upper West Regional Correspondent Latif Mahama. This is the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. We now take you to Parliament, where the House is set to debate the vote of censure against the Finance Minister. Let's pick the feed now from Citi TV.
I straight away overruled the plenary objection. In my ruling, clearly censure is not a trial. What more, a criminal trial? It is a quasi-judicial process of a and carries no legal consequences or liability, whether civil or criminal. Article 19 of the Constitution, which deals with criminal trials, is not thus applicable. Parliament is therefore intra-virus and not ultra-virus in admitting and permitting the minority leader to move the motion to invoke the powers of Parliament to resolve to pass a vote of censure on the Minister for Finance. On the issue of the authoritarian party rule, that is, listen to the other side or let the other side be heard as well, relied upon by the deputy majority leader as the basis for the plenary objection, the provisions in both the Constitution and the
standing orders of the House amply provide for it. The rules provide for an opportunity for the minister to be heard in defense. This formed the basis for my assurance to the House that the Honorable Minister responsible for Finance is entitled to a fair hearing and will surely be given ample opportunity to be heard in defense. Both the sponsors of the motion for the vote of censure and the minister will be given uninhibited opportunities to put across the reasons for and against the motion to enable the House to take the vote. In accordance with Standing Order 86, I inquired to know whether there is a seconder to the motion. Honorable Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka, the Minority Chief Whip, seconded the motion. After the motion had been seconded, I decided to refer the matter to an ad hoc committee, and in consultation with the leaders, constituted an 8-member ad hoc committee to inquire into the matter and report to the House within 7 working days for debate and vote. I had to take 7 working days based on the consultation I had with leaders. And the membership were proposed by leaders. Honorable members, you will recall the referral of the matter to the ad hoc committee was related to by some members of parliament and the public. This school of thought opined that the procedure adopted by me was irregular and unsupported by law, and insisted the debate on the motion should proceed and be taken the same day. Honorable members, the call for a vote of censure is novel in this parliament. What I sought to do after extensive consultation was to provide a procedure to guide the House. I am convinced my decision to refer the matter to a committee of the House is the right thing to do. And now,
City 97.3. Accra.
The Constitution and the standing orders of Parliament have provided a solution in the absence of such a committee, and I will deal with that shortly. Honourable members, it is important to draw your attention to this underlying guiding concept of the custom and law of Parliament and the underpinnings of parliamentary practice and procedure. The law and custom of Parliament and parliamentary practice and procedure are more in the world of politics than law. The law is in the bosom of the judge and not Parliament or the Speaker. The reason why judges are referred to as the law lords. Politics is in the bosom of the polity, the community, the society, the people. Parliament is the house of the people, and parliamentarians are the representatives of the constituents, the people. But the House must perform its functions and conduct its mandate in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution, the standing orders, and what is generally referred to as the law and custom of Parliament. Parliament must provide unlimited opportunities for open debate in consonance with the rights and freedoms, privileges, and immunities of members and officers of the House. Honourable members, a careful reading of the rules of procedure set out in the Constitution and the standing orders leaves nobody in doubt that there are legal prerequisites before a motion to consider a vote of censure is admitted. To paraphrase the prior requirements for the admission of such a motion, the law says a motion for a resolution to censure a minister under Article 82 shall, 1, be signed by not less than 1/3 of all the members of Parliament, and 2, be received by the Speaker. But before such a motion could be moved, after being admitted, 2 further requirements must be complied with. 1, 7 days notice should have been given of the motion. And 2, the motion shall be debated within 14 days after the receipt by the Speaker of the notice for the motion. A notice of a motion is received by the Speaker when it is acknowledged in the office of the Speaker as so received. A notice of a motion is received by the House when the motion is published on the order paper of the House as notice of motion. All these prerequisites and prescriptions were meticulously followed and complied with. In consultation with both sides of the House, the 14th day after receipt of the motion by the Speaker fell on the 10th of November 2022. The motion of censure was thus programmed and published on the order paper to be moved on that day. Honourable members, controversy emerged on the procedure to adopt to provide a fair opportunity for the minister to be held in defence. The disagreement centered on the import of Clause 4 of Article 82, which states that, I quote, a minister of state, in respect of whom a vote of censure is debated under Clause 3 of this article, is entitled during the debate to be heard in his defence, unquote. It's important to note that Article 82, Clause 3 of the Constitution specifies that the vote of censure shall be debated by the House. This constitutional provision is repeated in Order 108B of the Standing Orders of the House. A minister of state in respect of whom a vote of censure is debated is thus entitled to 2 procedural rights. 1, he is entitled to be heard in defence, and 2, he is entitled to be heard during the debate. Insofar as debates in Parliament are concerned, Article 101, 110, and 111 of the Constitution
2022. Venue, the Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Accra. Time 8 p.m. Dress code, it's an all-white affair. For table booking, what do you get when you mix the best DJs in the country, the most amazing live band sets, delicious cocktails, and wonderful food? Back-to-back hit music from Ghana's finest group, Prayer, and being serenaded by the brilliantly talented Aquabua. The biggest outdoor party, of course. Situation 2022. Are you ready to party? We are changing the situation on December 24, 2022 with the biggest outdoor party in Accra. The Situation Outdoor Party 2022. Let's wrap up the year in style with the most epic party to end all parties this Christmas Eve with Situation. Make your Christmas Eve come alive with the most incredible DJs who will keep you dancing all night long. Amazing live band sets and the crooner Aquabua. It is the perfect ingredient for the best party this festive season. Ain't no party like a city party, because a city party don't stop. This will be another one to remember. Date Saturday 24th December 2022. Venue La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Accra. Time 8 p.m. Dress code, it's an all-white affair. For table booking, call 020-5973-973 or 055-8973-973. Book your table and make reservations now. Media partners, Ghana Weekend and Citi FM. This is powered by Citi TV. This is a Beyond the Return event.